All right, Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio, Show 20, Holding Positive Ground. Yeah! Wake up, everybody! Welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, David Rutherford. As a behavioral training specialist, motivational speaker, author, and life coach, my mission in life is to help you discover the behavioral truths behind what it takes for you to succeed in any environment imaginable. So stand by and let me help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. HOOYAH! All right. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. All right, team. I am absolutely busting out of my head sockets right now because I can't even begin to tell you how fired up, how just unbelievably stoked I am to be on air with you right now and to be getting fired up, man. I mean, I hope everyone out there has gone out this morning and just like fired up like I just knocked out 20 push-ups because I'm jumping, I'm busting out. And I hope you got out there and you started your run and you got into your run and you got that wicked stitch and maybe you vomited your food all over the path that you were on. Maybe you got out there and you started doing your burpees or whatever and maybe you kind of maybe you hurt your trek knee a little bit, you know what I mean? And then maybe you got into doing some abdominal work and your lower back started hurting. And then you know what, when you came back or whatever and you thought you were going to stretch, you couldn't stretch really because everybody was calling you and getting in your mind and everybody was disrupting your flow and every time you try to take 2 steps forward, whack, you would get knocked 4 steps back. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, don't you? There's not a single person out there that's tuning in, that you're listening, that you got your little eardrums wide open and honing in 5 by 5. There's not any of you who don't know what I mean by that statement. There's not any of you who don't know what I mean by literally, by getting in that moment where you can't even begin to understand what's going on. Like you're doing everything right. You're following the rules. You're working hard. You're training hard. You're out there doing the best you can with the people that you love and you care about and all this stuff. But guess what? Inevitably, you just get knocked back. Now you get knocked back. You get back up and you're like, all right, that wasn't so bad. I can handle that one. But then all of a sudden you start running and you start charging again and boom, you hit that brick wall again. And you got that big old bloody nose and you can feel it in the back of your throat. And you got the cut over your eye and you're just pounded, man. You just took a Royal Grand Champion of hammering and you're like, what the heck, Over? How come every time I get going, every time I start climbing that mountain, every time I get up just a little bit, I lose my footing and boom, I roll down on my back and I fall into the ravine or I fall down on my butt and I look back up and I lost my compass, I lost my map, my kit is halfway up the mountain or it just is, my buddy wasn't there to grab me at the last minute, all these things. Folks, that's what today's show is about. I hope you understand that this is part of life, folks. This is going to happen to you every single day, possibly. And if it doesn't happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow. Because why? The only easy day was yesterday, right? Thanks, teams. You know where I'm coming from. Well, the fact of the matter is, folks, today's show is all about that battle. It's all about facing the negative insurgency in life and embracing the fight no matter what happens to you, no matter when it comes at you, and knowing that if you do get knocked back on your butt, you have the ability down deep, inside, right here in your intestinal little gut that shakes and jiggles while you run, right down in there behind those walls, behind those layers, right where your soul kind of lights on fire, where the fire in your gut breeds and starts and gets real steaming blue hot. That's where I'm talking about, folks, where you can hold on to the positive ground.
the positive ground in your life that makes all the difference. Because you think about military units around the world and throughout history, and what is their main objective, right? Is to advance ground, is to move forward in life and move forward on the battlefield. And that's what we do, right? That's what we do in the teams. That's what they do in Green Berets and MARSOC and everybody out there who's rolling down in the battle of life. Is your objective is to go gain ground and then hold it, not lose that ground. Well, guess what? We're in a different world nowadays, folks. There is a negative insurgency punching at you from every single direction. It's coming at you from the internet. It's coming at you from movies and media. It's coming at you from your family and friends, which is no new thing at all. I mean, that's as old as mankind itself, right? It's coming at you in your job. It's coming at you, and worst off, the worst possible place for all this is that it's coming at you in your own brain. In your own little donut hole up there, your own little gray matter that is sitting there going, psh, 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 you know, all those little neuroconnectors and transmitters functioning and all that stuff. You're the one, most of the time, who allows that negativity to seed its ugly little plant in there and grow its little weeds around your frontal lobe and your cortex and all that other stuff in there. And that's where it starts bringing you back, because you start losing ground. And that's what we're going to discuss today. That's what we're going to talk about, holding the positive ground in your life. Now, I want everybody to know out there that I think a lot of my fans out there have seen that I posted this unbelievable image out there on Facebook, on Twitter, on Pinterest, on LinkedIn, on all this. And this was an image that it shows me, next to a mountain, and it's got this beautiful, biblical images and hidden in the background, and a thing, the American flag in the clouds. And I mean, this is one of the coolest images I've ever seen in my life. And folks, if I got a tremendous feedback from the internet, from everybody out there following Team Froglogic, and how stoked they were on that image, especially from my team guy buddies. My brothers out there are still on, out there doing the deal, man. They were like, Rut, good job, way to go, partner. And it was awesome to see that. Well, folks, I just want everybody to know that recently we brought on board the team. We brought on Brian Kay, who is our new creative director at Team Froglogic. And this guy is the world grand champion of artists. He's a world grand champion of understand how to apply Froglogic in his life, how to use common sense and overwhelm. And so when I asked him to come on board, man, it was instantaneous. This guy began to get it because he's held the positive ground in his life with his team. So it was just a natural kind of combination of forces, if you will. So everybody out there, go check out this image and just you'll know where it comes from. This amazing human being that's the new member of Team Froglogic, and really just going to take us to the next level with what we're hoping to accomplish out there. So, folks, that's who the dude who did that is. All right? So, fire it up, Brian, man. I love you, buddy. Thank you so much. All right. Now, the show. Today, we're going to talk about why is it important holding positive ground in your life, okay? And the thing we need to talk about there is that you're not alone. We got to talk about the fact that you got to stop whining. No more little, why it always happens to me. We got to end that, right? We got to identify where it's coming from, where this insurgency is hammering you. And then we got to concentrate how to focus your forces or your team on how to defeat this thing. And that's what we're going to talk about with that. And then absolutely, undoubtedly, don't worry, for all you people out there waiting to sink your teeth in the Navy SEAL stuff, I'm going to talk about how Navy SEALs gain and hold operational ground in the crazy, kooky world of counterinsurgency that we live in today. And we'll talk about where we learn to do it in BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL School, and then in SQT, how it evolves, and then platoon life, and then absolutely I'll talk a little bit about it, not without using any TTPs or anything classified or whatever, but I will talk about the mindset and what happens downrange and in this crazy environment where we're having to operate nowadays. So talk about that, and then absolutely we get into the Froglogic concept, and I'll give you, four concepts today from the Froglogic concept. Now, if you're listening for the first time and you don't know what Froglogic is, basically Froglogic is my motivational philosophy that I've created after 20 years of personal discovery, you know, going all over the place from the lacrosse fields of Penn State to the, you know, mountains of Afghanistan and Haiti, and then all over the country giving motivational speeches to Fortune 500 companies and even to high schools, man. I'm going out to Willis, Texas next week to give a big, huge event out there with 500 kids and all the teams in the local county, man, and I am fired up for that one, man. We are going to get those kids squared away using Froglogic in their lives and making sure that they're dialed in on all this stuff. And so, you know, if you want to know more about Froglogic, check us out at teamfroglogic.com. You can go to any one of the you can go to any one of the social media sites. I'm on Facebook at David B. Rutherford. I'm on Twitter at David Rutherford at Team Froglogic. I'm on Pinterest. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all of them, all right? Because that's the way we got to connect, to spread the motivational message, folks, to get you using Froglogic. Now, here's the kicker to that whole thing. This thing is not just, you know, my mad mind, you know, unleashing on a repeated basis, although, you know, a lot of people on the team said, no, dude, it is your mad mind. But brothers, sisters, sons, daughters out there, I want you to know I've combined 70 plus years of operational training and elite lifestyle performance from the UDT SEAL teams to integrate with my experiences in order to come up with these ideas, these concepts that really are designed to help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. So that's Froglogic. So after all that, you know, we're going to talk about the 4 concepts today, which is concept 1, the enemy never rests. Concept 2, experience can't be measured. Concept 3, you got to learn how to ignite momentum. And then concept 4, every inch matters. Period. All right? So that's how we're going to do it. All right. Then we're going to take a little short break. And then I want callers. I want you to, if you've got intestinal fortitude and you're getting hammered, you don't know how to basically hold ground in your life. You don't know how to you know, gain ground, and then you always feel like you get knocked back. You want to call me? I'll help you get squared away with your problem specifically. You just call me in at 760-913-4130. That's 760-913-4130. Okay. All right. And hold. Here what we got to do. But we got to slow your roll. We got to cool your jets. Everybody out there's got to and halt, because I know I got you spun up. You're shaking, you're quivering. You're like, I want to know more. But here's the deal. We got to first define what I'm talking about. All right? We got to define what holding or standing or hold your ground or not giving up battle space or whatever, however you want to talk about it. We've got to define it. Now, I typically go to Wikipedia, my favorite starting point, my favorite reference point online. But the deal is, folks, they didn't have anything on this one. All they had was some stuff about the stand your ground law in Florida. And I'm not going to approach that one today because that's just going to divide us. That's just going to cause a lot of hate and discontent. And that's not what we do at Team Froglogic. We are absolutely opposed to that, all right? We are absolutely opposed to chewing each other up from the inside. We want to get things done together as a team. So I had to go to a different definition on there. One of those, online freedictionary.com. So let's first define it, get everybody on the same sheet of music, and get going. All right, so here we go. Hold or / stand your ground. 1, to refuse to change your opinions or behavior, even if other people try to force you to do this. Now here's the sentence. The union stood its ground in negotiations despite pressure by management to accept a pay cut. I love how, oh man, it's crazy, man. All the sentences they use, right, are negative. What the heck, man? You would think in a thing like holding your ground, you could come up with some killer positive thing, right? The young man held his ground against the peer pressure of his fellow classmates, forcing him to try and use drugs for the first time. I mean, that would be awesome. You'd be all fired up reading that. But instead, now it's something else, right? All right, now here's another one. Number 2, to refuse to move backwards, especially when you're being attacked, all right? The small, poorly armed band of guerrillas stood their ground against the overwhelming attack force, right? We got to talk about guerrillas out there, right? The guerrilla forces. They're the ones that are the cool ones, all right? All right, I won't go there either. Okay, so folks, here's the deal. Think about what I just talked with you on that, all right? Think about what that means. You want to gain something. You don't want to give it up. You don't want to change your ideological beliefs. You don't want to change your behavior. Now, if you're doing it in the right way and you got honor and integrity and a commitment to your team and a commitment to the greater good in your mind when you're doing that, then I say amen to that. I say good on you. But if you're twisted and you're evil and all that, man, we're going to beat you back. Trust me, okay? But that's what the idea is. So why is this important to hold positive ground that you've gained in your life? Now, let me try and put this into context for everybody. All right, so, when I was going through buds, man, I got knocked on my butt twice with medical rules. That means I had to go back to the, the starting line and, get back to the front. No cuts here, and start over, getting hammered, cold, wet, and sandy every single day, just pummeled. And, my confidence took a hammering in that. Just a total pulverization of my will. But, thankfully I had good men around me, good friends, and good teammates that got me back in. Plus, I was living my dream, so I was able to get back in that. Now it's all of you going, well, again, Rut, man, you always tell us this, dude. You always are like, hey, man, you always use these SEAL references. And, well, let me tell you about another reference that just happened to me this week. So, it ain't easy, folks, running a business out there in today's world. I mean, it's tough. It takes a lot of work, especially when you got, people counting on you and you got people that are on your team and you want to perform for them. You want to be accountable for them. So that's stressful. Yeah, that's right. Even I get stressed out, folks. Just ask my wife, who I affectionately call the Admiral. She'll tell you, nope, he gets this thing called fussy face, and it's disgusting. It makes my stomach turn, and she, she forces me to go PT or go do something until I get it corrected, right? So, this week, I was really going through some struggles last week or two, and I had two things happen. One, good close friend of mine, helped me talk about it and helped me understand, hey, man, it's all right. You're going to make it through it. Everything's going to be cool. We're here. We got your back. It's good. And then I had the most bizarre thing happen, which was radical. I mean, this was really cool. I've been mentoring this one man for about 3 years, and that's what I do. I'm mentoring a few guys out there that are really exceptional young men. And so this young man finally comes down. He's home. We're getting ready to go back to school recently, and we go do our PT when we see each other, and we're out there, and man, we're pushing hard, and I'm mentoring the heck out of him, and I'm getting him in line and exposing him to some new concepts that maybe he hadn't thought about, and he's really done an amazing job. So proud of this guy. And then all of a sudden we're out in the middle of the ocean. We've been swimming, and I finally was just like, hey, man, I've been kind of going. He's like, hey, how are you doing? I was like, well, and literally vomited everything that's going on top of his head as we're floating out in the middle of the ocean. And he looks at me and he goes, dude, it's cool, man. You're going to be all right. You just got to have your faith strong. You got to have faith in who you are and what you are. And you got to have faith in your team around you, and also faith that God's not going to let you down, bud. And man, that was like a thunderbolt. That was one of the coolest things that I've felt in a long time, because here, this young man who's barely getting started in life, he hasn't really seen too much, but he gets that. And that's one of the greatest things that you can get in life, that if you just have faith, if you just have faith in yourself and you have faith in your team, folks, that's good stuff right there, man. That's huge. Nobody can strip you of that. You're not losing anything if you believe in that. So that's big stuff. All right, so let's get into this. Hey, folks, and that leads me to the first point why it's important in your life. Because, hey, everybody, you need to realize you're not alone. Man, hell, I'm here on the radio for you every Saturday morning at 9:30, right? On blogtalkradio.com. I'm here every Saturday, here looking to help you. My team's out there at Team Froglogic looking to help you in any way we can. Your friends, your family, your teammates is out there. You're not alone. And you're not just alone in the fact that there are people there ready to support you, but you're not alone in the fact of what you're going through, folks. All right? There's not anybody on this planet that goes through things that are totally unique, right? We've been around for quite a few years now here. It's not like we came down just with the last drop of rain or anything like that. But we've been around for a while, so these problems, although they're uniquely our own and we're in our particular time in life, but guess what? They're similar. People can have similar experiences that they can offer to help, or you're just not by yourself. So understand that. And the second thing is you got to stop whining, folks. No more whining. All right, that's the deal. No more whining. Period. All whining does is just infect yourself and infects everybody around you. I don't like it anymore. I wish it would really just stop. guess what? It ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop. That's just the facts of life, folks. It's coming. It just is what it is because you have no control over the things in the world around you at all, man. But you do have control yourself. And I'm not saying you got to be 100% because nobody's 100%, right, in terms of their positive attitude. Even me, like I said, fussy face days. And that's the deal, man. You got to understand that. So, stop your whining first. Now, the next thing you got to do is you got to be heads up. You got to have some situational awareness and understand where this is coming from. Where is it? Where is your enemy? Where is it at you? You got to identify who it is, where it is, how it's coming at you. And then you can muster some idea and start gathering intel about what it is and how it's coming at you. Now, here's the crazy thing, folks. Now, typically, like I said in the beginning, man, this is it can be really challenging because a lot of the time it comes from you. It becomes from how you're processing information, how your behavioral training has been. It's coming from your, the status quo on how you address things in life. And it's time to be accountable for that stuff, folks. Because many times if it is you, it ain't, it's my job to try and let you know I'm your teammate. But folks, if you keep coming back and are like blah, 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 and giving me the Heisman stiff arm, then eventually I'm gonna be like, well, all right, have at it. Go take the beating, and I'll be back here, way back, with in the rear with the gear, and when you come all battered and hammered back, and I hope to hear I hope you say I'm sorry, so to speak. So that's a big thing is understand that. Now this whole concept forces you to use your team. You need to understand that you have to be the one that reaches out. You have to be the one. And gaining positive ground is tough because you put this huge effort in, you make this huge movement forward, and then all of a sudden you get knocked back a few feet or even an inch. You can feel it tremendously if it's in the emotional battlefield of life. It can be devastating, right? Just if you think somebody's cheating on you, or you think somebody isn't being on the up and up with you, or you think somebody is just literally, just not being cool. That can affect you, man. And so you got to understand that you need a team. And a team effort will always strengthen your resolve, folks. It'll always enable you to hold that positive ground internally. It will always enable you to feel good about it. All right. So let's move on into the next part of the show here, and let's get into how Navy SEALs hold ground in life and on the battlefield. Now everybody's like, HOOYAH! I wish Rut would just get right to this. This is the stuff I need to know. Well, you need to know all of it, folks, okay? Because it's all, the SEAL teams has been a huge part of my life, an incredible, 8 years into teams, and then afterwards, I've got some of the, most amazing people as mentors and friends and examples and standards who have said it for me. And folks, that's just it's an incredible thing. If you want to see some really dynamic stuff, folks, check out the Patriot Tour. That's Marcus Luttrell's tour. He's out there with Chad Fleming and Tanya Kyle out there, Chris Kyle's wife. If it's in your town, you go see that. You go check that out because it's just, you can't beat this thing. It's just off the charts. And you see what we're talking about, that camaraderie, that unity, that team aspect. So SEALs do it. First learn this concept, in BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL School. And we learn it because every day you're going to fail, period. And the instructors love that. That's their job, is to make you fail, right? That's their job, to say, hey, I don't care how straight your back is for your first 100, your second 400 push-ups, I'm going to demolish you. Or I don't care if you just won the last race paddling your boat out 15, and you and your boat crew 15 feet in water, dump boat, came back in, and your first one's in. Your second one, you're going to be exhausted because you just put out harder than everybody else, and now you're going to come in last, and we're going to beat the snot out of you. All right? That's what's so cool about it, because you're constantly losing ground in BUDS. It's just part of the game. It's part of the forging process to get you focused that losing ground, necessarily in terms of the physicality of lost ground, isn't the important part. It's losing the ground inside yourself. Losing the ground in your intestinal fortitude. Losing the ground in your soul, your spirit. That's what matters the most, because you have the physical strength to endure. You have what, and if you don't, then go get in some shape. That's a whole nother blog talk radio show out there. But here's the deal: you don't have to lose the ground in your mind. And that's what Buds teaches you. It's awesome because, you see it immediately. Teams and boat crews start getting all frustrated and they're like, and they're bickering and hammering each other on both sides. And it's just like, man, you're finally like, shut up. Man, shut up. If we don't work together, we're not going to solve this problem and we're not going to do well. And it's not so much about being the best or being number one or finishing first. It's literally just finishing the evolution with your pride intact, with your integrity intact. That's the huge part, folks. And that's what you learn, man. You learn that teamwork makes the beating fun. Now everybody out there shaking their head and they're like, this dude's out of his mind. And I'm not, folks, okay? I've thought a lot about this stuff. I've analyzed it, I've looked at it, I've read all the books, I've gone through it, I've seen it, I've applied it, I've trained people in it. And the fact of the matter is if you're in a team environment, the beating is fun, period, okay? Now, if you split up, all done. All right. Now, when the youngsters, they get into the teamwork aspect in SQT, man, it's time to teach them to become creative, right? Because the insurgency, the negative insurgency of life, the actual insurgency we're facing overseas right now, is this kind of omnidirectional, metamorphosizing, evolving kind of ideological chaos that is coming at you all over the place, and you get into a firefight. It's like you're basically in a firefight with an atomic nuclear bomb of fashion craziness, and you better bring your A game. You better have a fired upness that is off the charts. That's even bigger than a nuclear detonation. We're talking some universal detonation that pushes it all back, even when you're getting a beating. And that's what makes SEALs and Green Berets and all the rest of us so awesome, is because we don't get knocked back emotionally. We don't get, we might take a bloody nose and get beat up a little bit, but we're coming back in a fight, and we're coming back stronger than we were just before. Now, that's what we start teaching in SQT, but when they get into a platoon, man, that's where you hone it in. And so, imagine your team at work, or your team at church, or your team at home, your family. Man, that's your platoon life. You're getting ready for the combat of life every day, so you better start your training. You better train yourselves to be prepared for that negative insurgency, because it's lurking. In fact, it's probably already penetrated your team in some aspect. Just take 5 seconds to just write down on a piece of paper where the negative insurgency is coming from in your personal lives or your professional lives. Man, heck, it's everywhere, dude. It's over your shoulder. It's up above you. It's coming at you from your boss, from your manager, from the lowly people who just started. It's everywhere, folks. It's in the idiots driving on the highway or cutting you off, or all the knuckleheads on crotch rockets that are going 500 miles an hour on a Sunday afternoon with old drivers on I-95 killing people, man. I mean, that's where it's coming from. So in your platoon life, in our platoon life, we focus. We will not let that defeat us. And where this really comes into play, man, is downrange. This comes into play downrange, where we start going to battle. And we're in the counterinsurgency chaos that is the modern battlefield, okay? Now, here's the deal. It ain't like the old days where, the British and the Americans, or, these big full frontal assaults back and forth. This is an omnidirectional battlefield, man. And you might go out there and hit them where it hurts one day, and then they hit you where it hurts, and then you got to figure out how to hit them where it hurts, and it's just constant, man. And it literally comes down to breaking the will of your enemy. Now, how do you do that in life, really? How do you break the will of this kind of this free floating this insurgency of negativity? How do you break the will of that? Well, that starts inside yourself, right? It starts inside yourself. What I love is, you got all these awesome photos on the internet, man, of special operations guys growing these huge, big, burly beards, man, and it's so cool. In fact, my creative director, Brian K., he's got one of those beards, man, and he literally is fighting the insurgency every day with his beard. I love it, dude. And I used to have one of those big, burly beards, and my buddies out there on the front lines still have those big, burly beards. And it's part of it, man. You be weary of the beard, right? We say, right? Because in that beard is that strength, that knowledge that you are, you're ready. You're ready for battle, man. You're ready to confront that enemy who is the Taliban or Al Qaeda. You're ready to battle them head on, man. So where's your will? Where's your will to break the enemy? It's inside yourself, folks. All right, that's good stuff right there, man. That's how SEALs gain and hold ground. All right, now I get a lot of ask, it's not a perpetual battle and all that, but the reality is, folks, is neither is it in your life. You're going to take a beating, take a few steps back, but you're going to reassess, re-kit, replan, and get back out there and start a new approach. And if you don't, if you have the Letterman complex brewing in your comfort zone behavior, and you just want to fall back and then, come up with the same battle plan and charge in ahead again, the old Pickett's charge BS, then you're going to get slaughtered, folks. You need to be creative. You need to think about how you're going to dress and get going, right? All right. So that's team guys. That's the combat, right? Well, now we're going to get into the Froglogic concept, okay? Now, the Froglogic concept, as I told you again, this is 20 years of my personal discovery. It's 20 years of my hardship, 20 years of my failures. That's right, my failures that I'm drawing from. Yeah, I've had some pretty cool successes in my life too, but it's me failing that I'm learning the hardest lessons. And then, so I pull that stuff and I combined it with 70 years of UDT SEAL mindset, and training and operations, and I came up with the Froglogic concept. And what we're trying to do at Team Froglogic, we're just trying to help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. All right, and that's huge, folks. This is big stuff. If you want to know more about us, check us out at teamfroglogic.com. Check me out on YouTube, my YouTube channel. I've got a ton of videos out there, motivational videos that'll help you get fired up every day. And listen to the show, folks. I've got a ton of these shows on there. I'm getting ready to start posting regular podcasts at Navy SEAL Podcast on iTunes. And these will be little motivational shorts that you can download. 30-second jobs from my daily dose that I post on Facebook, and every daily dose that gets 100 more likes, I'll turn it into an MP3 player for everybody out there to use. And then I'm going to do 3-minute and 5-minute ones too for your, just to get you fired up every day. All right, so that's where you can find Froglogic all over the place. Okay, so what are the 4 concepts that we're going to talk about today? The 4 concepts that, that'll help you understand that holding the positive ground in life is key for your success. All right, concept number 1, the enemy never rests. That's a scary thought, isn't it, man? That is just, that makes you quake in your boots right there, dude. That is one that just, that's a tough one. That really is a tough one, because knowing that your enemy is always moving forward, is always coming at you, that's a tough psychological hurdle for a lot of people. They want to rest. Everybody needs a break. Well, that's why we're talking about this whole thing that, sometimes when you stop in your tracks, it's by your own accord. So everything you've done so far in your life, you've got to be aware that, hey, man, I just got to hold on to that, right? And what happens is we grow complacent, we get arrogant, we get fatigued, right? And all this is part of living. And it ain't going to change, folks. It ain't going to change because of something, some pill you swallow or some program you downloaded or anything like that. The only way it's going to change is by realizing that, hey, man, when you gain some ground in life, and you make that forward progress and you get back, if you hold on to what you did, you're going to be all right. And that can come from within you, or it can come from your team, all right? So know that the enemy never rests. All right, concept 2 is, folks, I want to get you on this one. All right, so everybody imagine, that 3-yard, the 3-foot yardstick that was around your house your whole life, right? Measuring how tall you grew all the time, right? And when you were like 8 through 12, you asked your parents to measure you every 5 days, right? Did I grow again? Did I grow again, man? And that's awesome, right? Because you want to see, you want to feel, you want to actually have some kind of gauge about your growth, right? Well, folks, here's the deal, man. Experience really can't be measured. There is no, you know, meter stick, or there's no tape for you to really gauge, you know, how your experience is gonna, you know, monitor the distance you've traveled. You know, where that comes from is in you and how you value every moment. What is the value you place on stuff in your life? And I'm talking whether this is good or bad. I mean, how do you value those horrific moments in your life? I mean, do you look at them and like, put them away, shove them down, put them back in the bottom of my sea bag of life, right? My kit bag. I don't want to see that. It's not that op. I don't need that bag. I'm going to stuff it away and never look at it. Well, guess what? That ain't the right approach, folks. That ain't the right tactic at all. Because here's the deal, man. There is value in every single moment of your life, folks. You got to get that. And trust me, no one thing defines you. No one bad experience or good experience defines you. You are not still the Letterman quarterback, right? You are not still the geek in school. You are not still, you know, the depressed person just crushing yourself with a bottle of Jack Daniels every chance you get, like I did in college. That's not you. If you let it be you, it can be you, but it's not who you are, right? Those failures are positive things, folks. That's the stuff that makes you better, right? That's the stuff that embraces you, that helps you embrace the fact that you can endure. And there is value. There's huge exponential value to those things. You need to measure. You need to put some infinite value on everything you've done in your life, because experience is your life. It is the ground you've gained. You're not losing it just because you're getting hammered, folks. Those experiences aren't erased from your mind. They aren't. They're powerful. And you need to put value on that. All right. So, granted, we're in those moments where we're in a lull, right? The lull in the gunfight is when the firing dies down and there's like, you know, and it's people are reloading and people are maneuvering on the battlefield. That's the lull, right? And trust me, folks, lulls are very useful. Tactically, lulls are really useful, especially when you operate in small numbers like the SEAL teams do, or, you know, or nimble teams like in your professional life, or just think about your family. You know, when your family gets a break from the insurgency, man, that's awesome, because you can stop, reassess, you know, check out everybody, make sure the injuries are squared away. Hey, man, you all right? I'm up. We do this thing where, you know, in a lull, man, we go around and check everybody, make sure they haven't been hit, make sure their ammo's good, you know, make sure their water's good, and we're like, all right, roger that, let's get back in the fight, man. That's good stuff right there. Our little, you know, pivot, you know, our little circle, and we're good. Now we get back in it, because it's time to create a new battle plan. It's time to get fired up and focus on that new battle plan. And you might be doing frag orders all the time, folks. You might be frag-oing left and right and all that and on the fly, but if your basics, like we talked about, if your basics are dialed in, your fundamentals of integrity and honor and commitment to the greater good and your whatever your purpose is, you're good. So all you got to do is bring that purpose back to the forefront of your consciousness and stop your whimpering from the whoop ass you just took, right? And get your tail out from underneath your legs and put it up strong like my beautiful Rhodesian Ridgeback does when he's hunting lizards out front, you know, fired up to go after these things, right? You know, he's ready to get back in the fight. And then you look at each other, all the people on your team, and you stare at them right in the eyes, right in those eyes. And you say, man, I'm fired up. Are you ready to get back in this fight? And you allow your commitment to your team and your teammates' commitment to you to light that fire in your gut, to get that purpose driven up again and punching through that, you know, get out from behind that little rock you're all hiding behind because you're sick of taking that beating, and charge forward up the hill. Charge up that hill as hard and as fast as you can, and get ready for the next time you're going to get knocked back, because it's coming. But that purpose, that team drive, that intrinsic drive and the value you have from what you just came through will fire you up again. All right, that's concept 3, ignite momentum. Concept 4, every inch matters, folks. Every inch matters. Now, here's what a lot of people do in this world, right? A lot of people want to, put on their laser range finder. They want to, get out their bad, binoculars and just stare out over the horizon and stare across the battlefield and look beyond and say, I can't wait until we capture that flag, or I can't wait till we defeat the enemy, or I can't wait till I'm the most successful human being on the world. Oh, oh, oh. You know what I say to that, man? And halt. That's hogwash. Yeah, it's important to have clear goals and dreams and think long term because it's exciting and it keeps that fire lit. But folks, every single inch matters. Every inch you take in your life is an inch that's important. And you got to dig deep and understand that each step is critical to the process of becoming better, to forging your self-confidence, and to living the team life. I mean, you might be on a full dead sprint, but guess what? Your swim buddy, your partner, the person you love the most is getting pummeled next to you. You can't continue your sprint. You've got to slow down because we're only as fast as our slowest man on our team, right? You've got to slow down, go back, and help them, get through each inch in their life. You've got to understand that people are reaching for help, and you can't be the only one. You can't be the only one shoving your hand out for people and like, help me, I need help, and then just take off after you're done, after you get the help you need. That's ludicrous. That's insanity, man. It's not the way it works in the team life, folks. You got to reach out and help other people 1 inch at a time. You've got to understand that each inch is part of your purpose. And then when you get there and you're starting there, you got to have faith that each inch was worth it. That's right. You have to have faith that no matter what, even if it's a nanometer or whatever, the smallest little thing, even if you don't move at all, even if you're moving backwards, but you're positive, you are holding positive ground, folks. You are holding the positive ground. You are being faithful to the process. You are being faithful to your team. You are not giving up. You are holding strong. You are dug in your body, your mind, and your spirit. You are using Froglogic, and you are capitalizing on one of the greatest gifts that exists in team life. That's your faith. Your faith that every inch matters. All right. That's heavy. And I'm fired up right now, man. So everybody just reflect, man, for a second in your life. Just take 1 second. Seriously, just take 1 single second and think to yourself, man, when was the last time you were totally capable of holding positive ground? Where you knew no matter what, you were not going to be defeated, no matter what the onslaught was coming, no matter what it was going to do, where you had such amazing conviction in your purpose and your drive to succeed, where you knew your team was not going to break down, where it was not going to do it, was not going to fail you no matter what. When was that last time? Well, I'm praying. I'm praying that it was just this morning for you. I'm praying you're thinking that it's right now. Because then you're good to go. And if you're not, folks, it's time to do something about it. It's time to start using Froglogic. Okay. All right, everybody. All right. I again, man, I get into these topics and I get a little whoop, 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 whoop. I get a little fired up, and that's because I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about all of you. It is my absolute mission in life to help you. It's our mission at Team Froglogic to provide a motivational, a little piece of gear for you guys to stuff in your kit of life that when you need it, you can whip it out and adjust your sights with it, or maybe it's that 100-round drum or that you need to put in to really unload at that negative insurgency. That's what we are, Team Froglogic. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do, is help inspire you to light that fire in your gut and to help you get through it. All right. So, everybody out there, we finished up. Now I'm going to start taking some questions, all right? So I'm going to start perusing the internet. Actually, I'm going to take a short break, just have a glass of water, real short. When I come back, I'm going to take some callers. So if you want to call in at 760-913-4130, or just hit me up online on Twitter or Facebook or any one of the other ones, go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back, folks. Fired up, Airborne. HOOYAH! All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Got a little break going. Got a little, couple of glass of water up in me. Hydrate or die, right? That's the deal. So I got a question here popping up on the internet, on Twitter here, and you can find me at David Rutherford at teamfroglogic.com. And here we go. Here's the question. So it says, getting rusty at any skill you use to master. Getting rusty at any skill you use to master can be very depressing. What is the best way to resharpen rusty skills? That's an awesome question, man. I dig that one a lot. All right. So here's the fact of the matter is, all right, it practice basics to perfection, right? You always got to get back on what you do, whether it's your pistol firing, whether it's your emotional focus, whether it's your body doing CrossFit or whatever you're into. That's the deal, right? All right. So one of the things you got to think about, though, is those rusty skills are part of it. It keeps you honest. It keeps you focused. Now, when I think about, it becomes very frustrating because you think you get to a point where you don't need to practice them anymore. You think you get to that point where you're like, I got it. And then all of a sudden, the negative insurgency of life comes up with some new tactic at its own, and it smacks you across your little snout, your little face, your little sourpuss, and makes you start whining because now you're like, holy smokes, man. Maybe I haven't mastered this thing, and maybe I just took 20 steps back and I got to start from scratch and I got to start over. And I was like, oh my God. Well, folks, man, again, stop the whining. This is part of life. You got to embrace the fact that things are going to change, that the negative insurgency is always out there. It's always coming at you. Okay, so you gotta change up tactics. You can't get stale. You can't just rely on your past all the time, folks. It just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but it is. It is. So, I hope that answered your question. And once you recognize that, your mastery has ended, then reach out to somebody that you feel has a great grasp on it and go get their help. All right? Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Killer question. All right. Here you go. All right, I got another one, and this is coming off my chat on blogtalkradio.com, one of my live listeners, so I thank you a ton, man. This is fired up when I see these. All right, here we go. How do you handle an enemy with the same disciplined mind as you, i.e. a team guy, if you will? I like that little reference. Thank you, TG. And how do you make progress in an organization? Okay, so the competitive market is what we're talking about, right? There's always competition. All right, now here's the deal. Okay. We are playing, life is a very challenging battlefield, and you're going to always have people that are better than you at certain things. You're always having people that are either training harder than you, they're more trained than you, they have the same discipline, or maybe they're even more disciplined, and they force. In the challenges where they're better than you, then you have to get focused. Because if you can out there, if anybody can call me up and tell me, I am performing at the absolute highest level I can. I can't perform any harder. I can't have better time management. I can't be more committed to what my purpose is because I am tapped out and absolutely exhausted at the best, the most intense focus that I've ever had in my life. If you can call me up and say that you're doing that, then I'll say, hey man, I'm going to do a show with you in 2 weeks, all right? So, but here's the deal. So what that requires is you to figure out, okay, be creative, understand what have they done to get as good as they are, and then learn how to do that. Make yourself better, or possibly come at it from a different angle if it's possible. But the fact is, when someone's better, you got to become better. Now, here's the deal: if you're in the one thing I get hit up all the time about is about politics within an organization and people jockeying for position and manipulating the game, so to speak. Here's the deal: what I say to you on that one is, folks, no matter what happens, no matter what tactic is being used against you, do not, I repeat, do not sacrifice your integrity. Do not sacrifice your honor. Do not sacrifice your commitment to the greater good. Because as soon as you start doing that, then you are beneath what you want to be. And by climbing the ladder of success, by doing, horrible things, I mean, it's not cool. Now, everybody always out there goes, well, all right, here's the deal. There's no rules in combat. And these people like our sales associates in the financial world. And I said, oh, really? Yeah. So, it's willing for you to ruin someone's life or lie about somebody. It's really that critical for you to do that type of thing in this world in order to get ahead. And they're like, well, you guys do it on the battlefield. And I said, well, knucklehead, somebody's shooting guns at us. Somebody's strapping, suicide vests to kids and walking them into our compound. So we've got to be a little bit more extreme than you out there. But I tell you what, there are certain incidents out there where we didn't sacrifice our integrity. And that happens all the time on the battlefield, folks. Where at the end of the day, some kid comes in and wants to throw a hand grenade in a room and he gets wrapped up or whatever. They don't kill that kid. They don't kill a couple goat herders that walk into their position. Think about it, folks. It just doesn't happen. You're better than that. So when you have that challenge, where you have that competition that is going on, folks, if you put out and you give it your 100%, your best absolute effort on what you're doing and what you want to accomplish, and at the end of the day you lose, then so be it. Take the loss. Take the loss as experience. Take the failure as that valued moment in your life, and then figure out a new plan. Take 2 steps back, 4 steps back, reassess, and get back in the fight. Now, granted, your self-confidence is going to be rattled a little bit, but that's the deal. That's part of this whole thing. And folks, if you want to know more about where I come from specifically on self-confidence and issues like that, if you feel like it, you can go to my website or my web store, teamfroglogicstore.com, and pick up a copy of my book, Navy SEAL Training Self-Confidence. In that book, I lay out 8 missions, simple, common sense, real-world approach missions in order for you to forge your self-confidence in exactly that situation. You can get it on iBooks. You can download it on Kindle, Nook, Kobo. It's all over. Get it off the website. That's where it comes from. But, that's a great question. But, folks, remember, nothing in this world is worth sacrificing your integrity for. Nothing in this world is worth turning your back on your faith or turning your back on your team. Nothing. Trust me. Because guess what? As soon as you do that and you get to where you want that success, you're going to eventually one day have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, you know what? I cheated. And that just ain't worth it. All right. That was an absolute awesome question. I'm fired up. I really dig it. You guys are firing them at me like just heavily this morning. I dig it. I really enjoy it. Let me keep looking around here, looking on Twitter for another couple questions. Nothing there. Let me look over at Facebook. All right. Let me look over at LinkedIn. Okay, here we go. So one of the things that you guys need to think about with all of this is it's really difficult to put it in context where it's not, you can't, the measurement idea. So we all, I talk about holding positive ground, and we all want to think about that. We gain some kind of specific successful point in our life, and then all of a sudden we get fired or we lose back or whatever. We take that shot. Well, the deal is, you can't let that defeat you. You can't be so frustrated at the fact that, where you once were, you're not there anymore. All right, where you once were, you can't be gauged by that. And I see a lot of this with older clients or older people that I'm doing life coaching with or that I'm helping out or that are asking me questions. You're like, man, I have worked my butt off my whole life to get to where I'm at, man. I've put in the time. I've put in the effort. I know the deal, man. And now all of a sudden, you got to start over. And that's brutal. That's a powerful, painful lesson to have to go through. Now, I know the deal, folks. I've had to do that. Imagine what it's like coming out of the SEAL teams at 31 years old, going 1,000 miles an hour, and next thing you know, you're living at home with your folks, and you're like, and you're just, you're just a regular schmo in Starbucks. And you feel like walking around with your trident pinned to your chest every day just so you get some recognition that, hey, I've been through some stuff. I know the deal. But guess what, man? Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. That's important who you are. But it's time to get back in the fight. It's time to reassess and reevaluate, where you're going and what your next purpose is going to be. What the next ground, where's the next battlefield? Because you're not always going to be on the same battlefield, folks. You're not always going to be fighting in the desert. You're not always going to be fighting in the jungle. You're not always going to be fighting on the mountains or in the cold. Think about it, man. Sea, air, and land commandos. We fight in the water. We fight on land. We fight coming out of the air, man. We fight everywhere. We go to combat against the insurgency that's out there because it's everywhere. You have to do the same thing. You have to prepare your mindset. You have to use Froglogic to be prepared for the battlefield as it evolves and changes and as it metamorphosizes around you. Because that's life, folks. That's life. It's gonna change. So just be prepared. All right. Let's do a quick debrief. All right, we're running out of time here. I want to do a quick debrief. We talked about the definition of holding your ground. Great military term. Go back and read some books about great battles in life. In fact, I'm reading a book right now called Unbroken. Folks, if you want to read a phenomenal book, get out there, read Unbroken. It's amazing. It's about holding the internal ground in your soul and your spirit through faith. And man, you can't beat this book. All right. Then we talked about why it's important in your life and a few concepts that you guys needed to address. Got into how Navy SEALs do it with buds and the fact that you're constantly losing ground, but if you coalesce your team effort, you're going to be all right. Talked about being creative in SQT and fighting that atomic nuclear bomb of insurgent creatively with new ideas and new tactics with a fired upness that is just beyond anything you've ever imagined. We talked about platoon life, getting downrange in modern day operations and how it's constantly evolving and really attacking the enemy and breaking the will of the enemy. And really, most times, folks, that's within you. It's not allowing your will to be broken in this combat of life. Moved into the four concepts and about Froglogic, and that was concept 1, the enemy never rests. You know the deal, folks. It's always out there. Concept 2, experience can't be measured, value every moment. Concept 3, you got to ignite momentum, keep that fire in your gut lit. And concept 4, every single inch matters. That's the deal. And have faith in your purpose. All right. So that was a big day. Again, folks, it's always important for me to thank the people who taught me this, to thank the people where we came from, to thank the people that are helping me on my mission now. Again, I want to give another huge shout out to Brian and the image you created, man. Huge thing. I want to thank Lucy and Kat, and I want to thank my father. I want to thank Lisa. I want to thank my incredible wife, the Admiral, man, for helping me realize this dream in Froglogic to help share our mission with everybody else out there, to give them these ideas, these concepts that can help them on the battlefield of life. So thanks, guys. Again, folks, if you want to learn more about Froglogic, find us at teamfroglogic.com. I'm all over on all the social media sites. You can check out Navy SEAL Podcast on iTunes. Of course, Blog Talk Radio every Saturday morning at 9:30, where I tie in the upcoming show on Facebook and post a daily motivational post every single day. So check it out on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, all of them out there. I really did. I'm a speaker, so if you need a motivational speaker, get a hold of me. Check out my book, Navy SEAL Training, Self-Confidence, on all the iBooks, ebooks that's out there. Thanks for listening. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. It means a ton to me. And don't worry. You're not alone. We're in the battle with you. So I want you to stay fired up. So folks, I'm your host, David Rutherford, Navy SEAL, motivational speaker, behavioral training specialist, author, and life coach. It's my mission to help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. And one last thing, folks. One last thing I want you to remember. I'm your new swim buddy. Let's get motivated. Ow!